All right, in news just coming in, India has signed a deal for the Rafale Marine jets. This deal was signed just moments ago in New Delhi. We'll get to the latest from our correspondent on the ground covering the meeting that's just taken place. Remember, India is to acquire 26 Rafale Marine jets from France at a cost of 63,000 crore rupees. The deal has just been signed here in New Delhi, and we'll get to you more on that in just a bit. Just to recap the big news we're tracking here on DD India News Hour, India and France have signed a mega 63,000 crore rupee deal to buy 26 Rafale Marine aircraft for the Indian Navy. The Indian side was represented by Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh, where the Navy Vice Chief Vice Admiral K. Swaminathan was also present. The 26 Rafale Marine fighter jets are urgently required for deployment on Indian aircraft carriers, in particular the INS Vikrant, which is now in service. The Rafale M jets will be customized to meet Indian requirements and will be integrated with two INS Vikrant. These carrier-borne fighters are being acquired as a stopgap solution until the development of an indigenous carrier-borne fighter jet is completed. Right, and joining me for this news just coming in is my colleague Akshay Dongre. Akshay, fill us in on the latest that you're picking up on this signing of the deal.
That's the latest, Ramesh, that the deal has finally been signed, and it was a long time in the making. There have been several layers of approvals, of negotiations about price, about the kind of armaments that are going to be given with the Rafale, the kind of training that is required. So it's a long procedure to acquire any kind of weaponry from any country. When it comes to such a mega deal involving several $1 billion, it has to be scrutinized at every level, and that has been done. By the Defence Ministry, by the Defence Ministry officials, by the Indian Navy, by Indian Navy's top brass that has been not only leading several carrier groups, but also has been inducting many of made in India equipment. And amid all of that, acquiring a jet that suits the Indian conditions, that suits our environment, the kind of threat perception that we have, was all done before finalizing a deal of this magnitude. So finally, India expected to get 26 Rafale jets that are the marine variant, hence the Rafale M is named like that. And what we can expect in the next few years is a speedy delivery by Dassault to India of these 26 Rafale jets, which are not only going to be operated from INS Vikrant, but INS Vikramaditya at some point if required as well, because these jets that have been finalized for the deal, they suit perfectly to the kind of infrastructure that we have, to the kind of aircraft carriers that we have. So we have a catapult assisted but arrested recovery, which is long form for CATOBAR system in the aircraft carrier, that in both the INS Vikramaditya and INS Vikrant. And that is the reason why we had to get a jet that is properly suited for these kind of conditions. They have to be properly customized as well. And we also saw that the Indian Navy is itself focusing on Atmanirbhar or made in India products and weaponry. But when it comes to the aircraft technology, it's quite sophisticated. It takes a lot of time. And while the ADA and DRDO along with HAL are producing their own aircraft, indigenous aircraft, that includes the Navy variant as well, which is named TED-BF, it is going to take a lot of time for those TED-BF to actually start rolling in and come into service. And for this period of time, from today till the TED-BFs actually start to roll in for the aircraft carriers, Rafale Ms are going to perfectly fit for our requirement and needs.
Akshay, do stay on. We're getting some more visuals from the signing ceremony between India and France for the acquisition of 26 Rafale fighter jets for the Indian Navy. In particular, these are the latest visuals coming to you from New Delhi, where the two sides have just finished signing a 63,000 crore rupee deal for 26 Rafale M fighter aircraft, specially for the Indian Navy. And while we stay on these visuals, Akshay, do let our viewers know how the Rafale M fighter jet is different from the other fighter aircraft that may be in operation in India and around India as well.
Well, all the aircrafts are different when it comes to their capabilities, payload capabilities, thrust vectoring, when it comes to takeoff or landing. The speed of the aircraft are different. The kind of weaponry that they can carry is different. Avionics, radars, everything that is equipped in a fighter aircraft. That is, pinnacle of science and technology when it comes to aviation. The kind of metallurgy that is required for aircraft, that is also quite state-of-the-art technology. Quite cutting edge, and in fact, when it comes to the comparison between the kind of aircraft that we have right now and the Rafale M's, then it's a generational gap basically. When you look at the MiG-29Ks, they are a fourth generation aircraft. They were good enough for their service. They have given a lot of years or rather decades of service to the Indian aircraft carriers, but eventually they will be phased out as they reach their retirement age, as they reach the time when they will be phased out from service. And between that time and till the time when we have a mass production of our own fighter aircraft, when it comes to the naval variants that have to be operated from the deck of an aircraft carrier, then Rafale M are quite a generation ahead of the MiG-29s. In fact, that is the reason why the Indian Air Force also opted for Rafales amid all the other contenders for the deal that before it was signed. So you had a kind of competition coming in from all around the world. From Europe it was Eurofighter Typhoon. From US had already proposed its F-21 or F-15 aircraft. Sweden had offered its own JAS Gripen aircraft. Russia had been offering Sukhoi 35. So all of the countries were offering their own aircraft, but India chose Rafale from France because it suited its need. India has also operated Mirage aircraft that is from the same manufacturer. So India has had an experience of operating Dassault machinery, and that is why it was chosen. Similarly, when it comes to the Indian Navy, there were other variants as well, other options too. The US was offering its F-18 that it operates from the decks of its several nuclear powered aircraft carriers, and that by evaluating all of these and which aircraft suits best for the Indian Navy and is also in budget, then Rafale M were finalized. And even though it's a mega deal, yes, but the kind of equipment that Rafale brings is truly going to be a game changer in eventuality of any war.
Indeed, the big news we're tracking here on DD India News are, and as my colleague Akshay Dongre is reporting, India and France have signed a deal for acquiring 26 Rafale Marine fighter jets for the Indian Navy at a cost of 63,000 crore rupees. Akshay, thank you. That was my colleague Akshay Dongre on the signing of that all-important defense deal.